Yo, what's going on guys? CultofMush back at it with another video, and in this video we're going to be looking at a fantastic $600 gaming PC build that's great for 1080p gaming, and that can run the latest games at really good settings and get really good frame rates. We're talking higher end games at high settings at 55 to 60 frames per second. Now with the parts on this list, I've opted to use prices that would be typical at normal times. Right now you can find a lot of good deals if you look around because it is the holidays, so if you take advantage of some of those deals, you could probably end up getting this PC for a little bit cheaper than $600. But with that being said, let's get straight into this video with the CPU. Starting things off with the CPU, I went with the Intel Core i5-6500 3.2 GHz quad-core processor. Now this is going for around $190, and right away this is going to take a big chunk of the budget out of your PC, which is unfortunate. But if you're really looking to build a 1080p capable gaming PC, then in my opinion you need to get an Intel Core i5. Yeah, the price does sting, especially when you're on a tighter budget, but it's just going to give you a lot more headroom than say getting a Core i3 or an AMD CPU. Getting a Core i5 now is just going to increase your overall max potential, and that's why I think even if you're building a PC at this budget, just drop the $190, get an i5-6500. You don't have to go and drop like $230 on a 6600K and then drop like another $30 on the CPU cooler. That isn't completely necessary. With an i5-6500, you're still getting that performance that an i5 offers, very low on the power consumption, and if paired with a good GPU, it just performs wonders in games. For the motherboard, I went with the Gigabyte GA-B150M-DS3H Micro ATX LG1151 motherboard. I just wanted to get something very cheap in this build, something that would get the job done, and that's what you're getting with this B150 board. You've got 4 RAM slots up to DDR4 2133 and up to 64GB of max memory supported. No Crossfire SLI support, but in a $600 PC, that's probably not something you're worried about anyway. You got 6 SATA 60bit per second ports as well, so for $60, this is a very capable motherboard that still comes at a very cheap price. For RAM, I went with Kingston HyperX Fury Black 8GB, 2 4GB sticks running at DDR4 2133MHz for $57. It's 8GB of RAM, there's really not much more to say about it. 16GB of RAM is becoming better and better for gaming, but at a budget like this, it's definitely not essential, and like I said, the motherboard does have 4 RAM slots, so in the future, if you do want to go for a 16GB configuration, that option will be open. However, for now, 8GB of RAM still definitely gets the job done. Coming from somebody that runs a GTX 1070 in their build and still running 8GB of RAM, I can tell you 8GB still works. It's just that getting 16GB of RAM should be a thought that you keep in the back of your head because it is getting cheaper and cheaper to go that route. For storage, I went with the Western Digital Caviar Blue 1TB mechanical hard drive. You can pick this up for around $50, and it's a 1TB hard drive. I've had several Caviar Blues, haven't had a problem with any of them for a mechanical drive. They're very reliable, they're very cheap, and they work well as a standalone drive. Yes, in this build, you will not be going for an SSD because picking up an Intel Core i5-6500, that eats out a lot of your budget, and the SSD is something that you're going to have to forego on. If you're the kind of person where you think you don't need a Caviar Blue 1TB and you want to drop that altogether and get an SSD instead, you could probably get a 120GB or even a 240GB SSD for $50. Then you can go that route, but if you're building a gaming PC, chances are you want to download a lot of games, you probably want to download some movies, some music, and the 1TB is probably the better option for the majority of you guys, but I'll leave that decision up to you guys. Moving on to the video card, I went with the MSI Radeon RX 470 4GB video card. This is a really solid 1080p GPU. No, it's not the RX 480, but the 470 comes very, very close to the RX 480's performance, and it is a little bit cheaper. Right now, the going price is around $170. For the holidays, they were around $150, sometimes even cheaper than that. So if you look around, you can probably find a really good deal on an RX 470. It's got 4GB of memory, which is great for 1080p gaming, and the performance is outstanding. Games like Witcher 3, Battlefield 1, Fallout 4, Titanfall 2, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, the latest games, they all run really good. As long as they're decently optimized on PC, the RX 470 is going to do a really good job in them given its price. And that price is kind of high at $170. I think $150 would be great for this GPU, and that is a price you can definitely find the RX 470 for. Like I said, late November during Black Friday time, the 470s were available for $150 just about everywhere, and that's a price you can definitely find if you look hard enough. For the power supply, I went with the EVGA 500W 80+ bronze certified power supply. This isn't the highest end PSU in the world, but this also isn't the highest end rig in the world. The i5-6500 is very power efficient, as is the RX 470. If you wanted me to estimate how much wattage this PC would use, you could probably get away with like a 400W power supply, and you're not going for a Crossfire configuration in this build. The motherboard doesn't even support it, so getting a 500W power supply is gonna do the trick. If you want to pick something something up a little higher end, give the Seasonic S12 520 watt a look. That's about $20 more expensive, but Seasonic does have a great track record with their power supply, so that might be an investment worth taking on. Whichever route you go is going to be very viable for this build and a good option. Finally, for the case, I went with the Cooler Master Half 912 ATX mid-tower case. This has been a case that I've been seeing going on sale a lot recently. Right now, the cheapest price I found was about $55, but I've seen it as low as $40 after a mail-in rebate, and if you can find a deal like that, that is exceptionally good. I have the Cooler Master Half 912 myself, and it's just a great case. Aesthetically, it doesn't look amazing, but I find the plain black look to be appealing in my eyes, and the interior gives you a lot of options for wire management, a lot of ventilation. It's going to keep all your parts cool, and it's just a really solid case for a very, very good price. If you want to pick up something a little higher end, you can look at the NZXT S340. That's a case a lot of people love. That case actually has the side window that I know a lot of you guys like, so you can take a look at that as well. So that's going to wrap up this video, guys. As always, thanks for watching. If you have a request for a future video, you can leave that in the comment section down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.